We're starting another math lesson in geometry today, and today we're going to dive in a little deeper into 3D shapes. So if you thought yesterday we got into it a little deep, learning some new shapes and talking about curved surfaces, today we're going to learn even more.
Should have brought my bathing suit for diving in deeper.
You really should have, except it's a little cool in here.
It is.
to be wearing a bathing suit. Mrs. Grant. Okay, I'm ready. All right. Today we are going to talk about only 3D shapes. That means three-dimensional shapes, real physical objects, but we're going to throw in some more vocabulary words, new words that kids need to know and understand. So one of the words that we're going to talk about are faces.
Okay.
Not my pretty face, not your pretty face, but the faces on a shape. And that is going to mean the flat sides of a shape.
Okay.
We'll talk about that more in just a minute. We're also going to talk about the edges, and the edges are going to be those straight lines where two faces of a shape come together.
Okay.
And then the trickiest of all is the word vertices.
Ooh, that is hard.
Vertices. And vertices are going to be the little points, I like to call them. Sometimes it's easier to think of them as points. And that's going to be where the edges come together on a shape.
Okay, kind of like the corners?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
And on a 3D shape, we call those corners or points vertices. It's just a nice
cool
mathematical word.
I like
it. Mathematicians use mathematical words. All right, so we're going to take a closer look at each of these shapes, and then we can help students fill in some of the answers on maybe one of these shapes.
Okay.
So I have my shapes with me. I'm going to come a little closer, and hopefully you'll be able to see them. I'm going to start with a sphere. We already talked about the sphere. The sphere is similar to a ball, and it's all the way around. It doesn't have any flat sides, and it doesn't have any vertices or points. It's just round.
So are you telling me that there are no faces or edge or vertices?
0, 0, 0
That's easy.
would be our answer.
Cool.
Yep. All right, let's take a look at another one. I want to look at the cube. This is probably, I would call it the most popular shape. Like if shapes were able to be popular amongst each other, the cube would be the one with all the friends because we know about it the most.
Yeah.
So a cube, like we talked about, has squares, and each of these flat sides, every time you see a square, that's called a face.
Ooh. Cool.
Okay. Now I know that on a die, if you're rolling dice, there's 6 numbers on it. That means there are 6 faces.
Should I write that down?
We can. We don't have to.
Okay. I'm going to.
Okay.
I'm going to.
We'll give you the answers for the cube.
On the other side, they have to do basically the same thing on their own.
Ooh.
So we can help them out a little bit on this side.
We'll help them with the cube.
Okay.
I'm not going to help them with all my shapes.
Okay.
Though. Okay. So a cube has 6 faces because those are all flat sides on the cube.
So 4 all the way around, 1 on top and 1 on bottom.
2, 3, 4, and then 5,
Cool.
6.
Thanks.
Now we're not done.
Oh.
It also talks about edges. Now the edges are really tricky, and if you have a cube at home and you want to hold one in your hand and try this, you can. But the edges are going to be all of these straight lines on the cube where all of those faces meet. And if I touch all of them, I have 4 going around the side. So 1, 2, 3, 4. But I also have 4 on the top. So 5, 6, 7, 8. And I have 4 on the bottom. 9, 10, 11, 12.
Oh my gosh, 12 edges?
12 edges on a cube. That's a lot. Now, the last one are going to be vertices. So think about as the little points on the shape. You can call them the corners if you want, if that's easier for you to remember. I have 4 of those on the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then on the bottom, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. So a cube has 8 vertices. That's a lot. And again, I would recommend if you have some shapes at home that you can find, you might even have blocks at home from when you were a little younger or from a sibling, take them out and check it out. Try holding them in your hand and see if you can find all those faces, edges, and vertices. Just to take a closer look at a couple more, we have our cylinder and our cone, both with a face at the bottom and one of them with a face at the top. And then we also have a pyramid with a face at the bottom, faces all the way around, and our rectangular prism. And notice the rectangles on the rectangular prism, kind of like a cube, but stretched out. In fact, I bet some of the numbers for the rectangular prism are going to be the same as the cube. So you've had a chance to see some of these shapes up closer. What do the students need to do in order to finish filling this page out?
Well, they need to count the faces, the flat surfaces,
Okay.
the edges, and the vertices, but we have a secret for you guys. If you follow directions from our Monday and Tuesday video and you saved this paper that we told you not to throw away or send back in your folder, then you already have all the answers.
Oh my goodness, that makes me feel better because I was just thinking, I don't have a cone at home and I can't touch it. How am I going to figure out the answers of how many faces, edges, and vertices?
Right there.
Well, here's the cone.
And I noticed the cone says one vertex.
Oh.
Vertex.
Yeah. So if we only have one of something, we call it a vertex.
Okay.
But if we have more than one, we call it a
the vertices. So
yeah.
Vertices is plural for vertex. One corner, 1 point would be a vertex. Multiple corners or points would be vertices.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tricky.
All right, so if we look at this and we don't know the answer on our own and we're not able to grab one from home, a real life object, and count them, we can use this page to help us out.
Yep, absolutely.
All
That's
right.
what it's there for. We want to help students out. This is their first time doing this.
Yeah.
But it should allow them to get all the answers on this page.
Okay. So should we turn it over and see about the other side?
Yeah,
Can
I
you
think we
erase
should
this?
check it out just to make sure everyone knows what they're doing today.
It looks very similar to the side we just did.
It does. In fact, the top says faces, edges, and vertices. Those are the exact words that we just talked about on the other side. So this time, they're showing us an example of a pyramid up here. And the reason that we see it so many times is they're flipping it over so that you can see all of the faces, so that you can see all of the edges and the vertices.
Okay.
But it looks like A, B, and C, the first three problems, are just like what they did on the other side.
Exactly. How many faces, how many edges, how many vertices of shapes you already did on the other side and that you have on your reference sheet.
I think we should let them do A, B, and C on their own.
Not going to talk about it.
But
this one looks tricky.
Question we should take a look at.
The only thing that really makes it tricky is it looks like they added some numbers and a cm, which stands for centimeters. It's a measurement.
Okay.
That we don't usually use in America. Because why use the metric system when it's way easier and the rest of the world uses it? Anyways.
That's a problem for another day.
Yeah. Use the shape to answer the questions. So we have this shape that is a 3D shape. It looks like there's a lot of squares. Like every side has a square. Okay. The first question says, will all the faces be the same size? Well, the reason they gave us these numbers, 3 centimeters, 3 centimeters, and 3 centimeters, is to show you that every edge is the same length.
Oh.
Which means that, yes, all of the faces will be the same size. So,
I get it.
Therefore, let's look at the last question. Based on the measurements of the 3 edges, and you don't have to add any numbers or do anything with those numbers. They're just there to tell you that all of the sides are the same length. Based on the measurements, what solid shape is this? What solid shape has completely flat surfaces all the way around and every side is the same length and it's the square?
I was just going to say, I don't want to give them the answer, but if they're all the same size, that means that every face is a square.
Yes.
So that means there are 6 square faces on that shape. No rectangles. So
could you use that knowledge?
Only one choice on here that all of them are the same and they have 6 squares. So I think they can do that on their own.
And that's it for Wednesday math.